Thank you for tuning into the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. Now, if you're interested in helping us promote our brand, please feel free to donate to our Cash App. Our Cash App is $ Afiel Levi. That's APHIEL LEVI. And that'll go directly to the Forefront Radio so we can produce more incredible shows for you to listen to. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download this free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you.
Dick and Lava in the house. Hammer time. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. Dick and Lava in the house. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. Dick and Lava in the house. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. Dick and Lava in the house. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. Dick and Lava in the house. Fires gone up, blessings come down. We are all faith till the kingdom come. Fight for the lost, some send me head down. So me gone crazy and I have some fun. Scriptures blaze, make boys skin clean. Make head a roll like donkey cabin. Build up the faith and build up the speed. If I no judge, then no better than me.
Dream team I come through with the original style. If I Israel party, then it wicked and wild. And me can't get enough that one and then me can't spoil. Benja by through the spirit, yeah we versatile. No other nation better than we. I could have more about East, so they can't step to me. Them can't fit in our category. Dream team where we tell them set. Look on the scene, look on the style, look on the flow. Look how we clean. Look how we mash up the black and the one for stop. Why look at the team rising up, taking over the world. Oh you mean, wanting up the 12 years. What we say, split the word like automatic. And they cut them like a ratchet. Got me energy kinetic and they shot them like a static. They can't stop me from a chat. Me have the scripture, then fi back it. And you cannot stop a profit. Man I take up like a rocket. Oh you mean,
fires gone up, blessings come down. We are all faith till the kingdom come. Fight for the lost, some send me head down. So me gone crazy and I have some fun. Scriptures blaze, make noise skin clean. Make head a roll like donkey cabin. Build up the faith and build up the speed. If I no judge, then no better than me. You can't run when the bombs them come. Tell a vagabond say in judgment come. When them see the black blood, I run them I run. In a bunkers, but me a hunt them down. God of Israel, him a the champion one. 144 we a take them down. When they take the vengeance on Edom, my nation alone a go rule the kingdom.
Yeah. Man bless, man move in a order. No talk, beer works for the honor. Beat the trial and me never need liar. You never know, say the judge and my father. One mind, one God and we prosper. One lover for the saints, still a rasta. Prophets them better than a gangster. Even both know, say the wisdom made pastor.
Fires gone up, blessings come down. We are all faith till the kingdom come. Fight for the lost, some send me head down. So me gone crazy and I have some fun. Scriptures blaze, make noise skin clean. Make head a roll like donkey cabin. Build up the faith and build up the speed. If I no judge, then no
when Benja by soul, they mic alright. Be able to know the place, so we turn up it all night. It's a spiritual vibe, we not fuss, not fight. Anybody we separate for their mind don't right. Move up, man, I be rock to the beat. Dance to me now, but now retreat. Take tune, pull it up and repeat. Them can't test me now, don't do it. You know what it is, well, what you say. Party time I come around again, that's how we there. Roti at and roti man, we tell them set it quick. Dance buckle time, I wear the killer them there. One time, pull it up, and what we say. Me get a little sip and let me step. Brother reaction, them a get. Them picture rise, man, I sweat. Make nice kingdom, we a get.
fires gone up, blessings come down. We are all faith till the kingdom come. Fight for the lost, some send me head down. So me gone crazy and I have some fun. Scriptures blaze, make noise skin clean. Make head a roll like donkey cabin. Build up the faith and build up the speed. If I no judge, then no better than me. It's the Hammer, Dick and Lava in the house. It's the Hammer, Dick and Lava is in the house. It's the Hammer, Dick and Lava is in the house. What? Dick and Hammer, what? Dick and, it's the Hammer.
en mi mente, pensando en ti todo el día. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Puedes tener cualquier cosa si tú espérame, espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Espérame, espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Wait for me, soon I'ma come through. If you got me, then I got you. If you stand by me, then I'll stay true. And I got some blessings for you, that's way past due. You just gotta wait a little bit, you know that you don't even trip, you don't be stressing about how long it take you, that's how I know you legit, I turn that frown to a smile, like you with fashion and style, so versatile. I'ma rain blessings on you, you just gotta wait a while. Just wait a while. Estás siempre en mi mente, pensando en ti todo el día. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Puedes tener cualquier cosa si tú espérame, 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 espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Espérame, 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 espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo.
Merci bon Dieu papa pour tout ça que vous fait pour moi. Yo plein pour yo pa rien, yo ti moi pas rien. Yo la game nan esclavage en bas code yo te maré. Tant qu'on on est sauvage yo ti yo pas besoin la game. Pendant moi sous la terre yo fait vite tant qu'on rien n'était. Yo vle m'tomber mourir au lieu que moi te sauver. Yo te préféré m'endormir avec fait des terres. Enterré 6 pieds en bas mais bon Dieu m'connait ou a pe sauver.
Estás siempre en mi mente, pensando en ti todo el día. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Puedes tener cualquier cosa si tú espérame, espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Espérame, espérame. Esperaría poco tiempo.
Espérame sola esposa, dime por qué estás celosa. Cuando llamando a mí orando y vi si yo sé, están invitando a ser tus amigos y traen castigo. Pero bendigo, cada vez aún prosigo. Cada palabra que yo he predicho, yo hice, incluyendo algunos de tus caprichos. Dime si realizas, siento todo lo que sientes. Siempre y cuando me tenga en cuenta en mente, sé paciente, espera.
Estás siempre en mi mente, pensando en ti todo el día. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Puedes tener cualquier cosa si tú espérame, espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. Espérame, espérame. Esperaría en poco tiempo. When I walk through, hair wrap, minus when I walk through. Original style when I walk through. Show you how it's done when I walk through. Everybody like 'em, everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, style, you kill it. Fashion style, style, you kill it. Your fashion style, style, you kill it. Fashion style, style, you kill it. God is my stylist, he make me look stylish. Gold bracelets on my wrist, and my dress code righteous. Modesty you do not know, why do you permit it go? I'ma embrace who I am, my willy hell let it flow.
Okay, I see you shut it down, shut it down. Fashion game, you got it on lockdown, lockdown. They tryna copy you, ayy. The way you dress, yeah, you the baddest thing around.
Everybody like 'em, everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, style, you kill it. Fashion style, style, you kill it. Your fashion style, style, you kill it.
Fashion, style, style. I like your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it.
Style on it, you the style on them. Man, I see you got creative with it, versatile on them. I see you killing the game, you committing crimes on them. If a hater criticize, you just got a smile on them. Man, I see you put a lot of energy, I know you do it for your man, ayy. Walking out the block, you got him feeling like the man, like you got a dime piece, ayy, yeah. That's a 10, ayy, going all out, ayy, ayy. Set the trend, if your mind ain't right, then it don't mean nothing to me. Pretty looks, but you too vain, you a front to me. Before appearances, you gotta be some coming to me, ayy. Actions, speak clear, show something to me. Better know that. Yeah, I gotta keep it real with you. If you're superficial, then a prophet can't deal with you. If you're a dragon, baby, I ain't tryna chill with you. From the start, yeah, I gotta keep it real with you. What?
Everybody like them.
Talk to me.
Everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. I like your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Everybody like them.
Everywhere you go,
Everybody wanna know
what they wanna know.
where you get your style from.
What they saying,
And they keep saying, I like your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. I like your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Your fashion, style, style. You kill it. Fashion, style, style. You kill it. Kill it.
You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. At this moment, we're going to play a clip from Democracy Now!, where they're talking about the allegations that Ivy League school had the bones of African-American children from 1985. Listen to this clip. It's about 15 minutes long or so, and afterwards we'll come with the commentary.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. If you'd like to get our daily email digest, send the word Democracy Now!, one word, to 66866. That's Democracy Now!, text it to 66866. We turn now to shocking revelations that two Ivy League schools, the University of Pennsylvania and Princeton University, have been in possession of bones thought to belong to children who were killed in the 1985 police bombing of the Philadelphia home of the radical Black Liberation Anti-Police Brutality group MOVE. In a minute, we'll show you video of the remains being used in an online teaching course and get response from Mike Africa Jr. But first, we go back to that day, May 13, 1985, when the Philadelphia police killed 6 adults and 5 children, destroyed over 60 homes, burning an entire block to the ground by bombing the MOVE house. In a 2010 interview on Democracy Now!, Ramona Africa, the sole adult survivor of the 1985 attack, described what happened after the bomb was dropped on their house.
terms of the bombing, after being attacked the way we were, first with 4 deluge hoses by the fire department, and then tons of tear gas, and then being shot at, the police admit to shooting over 10,000 rounds of bullets at us in the first 90 minutes. There was a lull. You know, it was quiet for a little bit. And then, without any warning at all, 2 members of the Philadelphia Police Department's bomb squad got in a Pennsylvania State Police helicopter and flew over our home and dropped a satchel containing C4, a powerful military explosive that no municipal police department has. They had to get it from the federal government, from the FBI. And without any announcement or warning or anything, they dropped that bomb on the roof of our home. Now, at that point, we didn't know exactly what they had done. We heard the loud explosion. The house kind of shook, but it never entered my mind that they dropped a bomb on us. But the bomb did, in fact, ignite a fire. And not long after that, it got very, very hot in the house, and the smoke was getting thicker. At first, we thought it was tear gas, but as it got thicker, it became clear that this wasn't tear gas, that this was something else. And then we could hear the trees outside of our house crackling and realized that our home was on fire. And we immediately tried to get our children, our animals, our dogs and cats, and ourselves out of that blazing inferno.
Ramona Africa describing the police bombing of the Move House in Philadelphia in 1985. In November, the Philadelphia City Council formally apologized for the police bombing, which killed 6 adults and 5 children and destroyed the surrounding 60 homes. Memories of the attack that killed the 11 people were resurfaced last week when the University of Pennsylvania and Princeton University acknowledged that for the past 36 years, anthropologists have been using the bones of at least one of the bombing victims, 14-year-old Tree Africa. In a video course posted online called Real Bones: Adventures in Forensic Anthropology, Penn Museum curator Janet Mong, a visiting Princeton University professor, holds bones thought to be of Tree Africa. The video is no longer available for public viewing, but anyone who already registered for the course can still access it. Democracy Now! Obtained a copy from the Africa family. This is a clip.
This is one of these cases where the material has some flesh on it, which I know is not uncommon, actually, in forensics and forensic anthropology. In this case, there is some soft tissue, which is actually remaining, and the bones were actually burned as well. So it's got quite a complicated history. So I'll pick up just for a moment and show you that this is really the tissue which is present on the specimen. It's not a lot, but absolutely it's there. This is the tendon that goes to rectus femoris. That's actually intact and it's there. The femur is with much less tissue associated with it, but you still have in the fovea capitis the anchoring ligament, which is present in the head of the femur. The bones are, we would say like juicy, meaning that you can tell that they are of a recently deceased individual. They have a lot of sort of sheen to them, at least this one does. And that is because, of course, there's still marrow in the marrow cavity, and it's sort of leaching basically out and into the bone, so it gives that kind of slick sort of appearance. If you smell it, it doesn't actually smell bad, but it smells like just kind of greasy, like an older style grease.
Since this video was reported on last week, the Penn Museum and the University of Pennsylvania have apologized to the Africa family for allowing human remains recovered from the MOVE house to be used for research and teaching, and for retaining the remains for far too long. The bones are reportedly now in the possession of Alan Mann, a professor emeritus at Princeton, who apparently received them from the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office for forensic analysis in 1985. Mann told the outlet Inside Higher Education he's working to return, quote, the upper end of a thigh bone and a small part of one pelvic bone to the examiner's office, and that he was, quote, sorry to learn that there's a perception that what I did with the MOVE human remains was wrong, he said. The medical examiner's office has said that if the remains are returned to their office, they would attempt to locate next of kin to claim them. This controversy comes as the Penn Museum just apologized last week for holding more than 1,000 stolen skulls of enslaved people in its Morton collection. Samuel Morton was a 19th century white supremacist researcher who directed workers to pull the bones from unmarked graves. For more, we go to Philadelphia, where we're joined by Mike Africa Jr., a second-generation born MOVE member and host of the podcast On a Move with Mike Africa Jr. He's the co-author of the upcoming book, 15 Years on a Move, out next month. Mike, welcome back to Democracy Now! We offer you our condolences on this news about the remains of 2 MOVE children, it's believed. Not only Tree Africa, but Delisha Africa as well. Can you explain how you found out about this and what you are demanding right now?
Thanks for having me, Amy. I found out about this because a friend called me and told me that they heard about it. And when they told me that, I was shortly after contacted by a local reporter who was about to release a story about it.
Hello?
And that was
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Juan.
Mike, I wanted to ask you, you knew Tree Africa and Delisha Africa. You were friends with them. What do you remember about them?
You know, we spent years together in Virginia. See, back in the day in the 70s, when the confrontational atmosphere in Philadelphia was extreme for MOVE, members of the organization, John Africa, sent the children to a place in Virginia to get away from this confrontational atmosphere. So Tree and Delisha and many other children were sent there. And when I was born in the jail after I was born, my grandmother took me to Virginia too, to be away from the crime and violence. And so we were there together for years. And then when the house in Virginia was raided too, and we were taken, all of us were put in an abusive orphanage where we spent 11 days with our hair being combed out of our scalp. Some of us were pushed down steps. It was very, very abusive. And we were rescued from that situation, and we were brought back to Philadelphia, where we were reunited with other members of the organization. And we were living together. We were always together. And then we bounced around from house to house. All of us were, I guess, unconventional orphans. Like, we were all together because all of our parents were in prison. Tree's parent, her mother, was in prison. Delisha's, both her parents were in prison. And of course, my parents were in prison too. Delisha's father is Delbert Africa. He's best known for the beating he took from police on August 8th, 1978, where they kicked him and lifted him up off the ground with the blows to his body as he was on the ground trying to cover his defenseless body. And so Tree and Delisha, I knew them both. Tree was the oldest of all the kids. She was very kind, and she was very responsible, and she was always being called on to help with the other kids because she was the oldest. And Delisha was like our little general, she was like our leader almost. A lot of things went through her as children, a lot of things, decisions that were made, the simple decisions like how to sneak some cooked food that we weren't really supposed to be eating, came from her. And she was, very, very, very strong and very clear visioned. And, we had our own plans that we wanted to do when we got older, and we talked about these things together. And to know that this is happening now after all these years, and we're so close to what happened, May 13th, another anniversary going by where we think about our family is just devastating.
Now, I wanted to ask you, I was a young reporter in Philadelphia during the 1985 move bombing. I was there that day. Most of the day spent with my good friend and fellow colleague at the Philadelphia Daily News, Lynn Washington, as we were covering that event. We were astonished late in the afternoon as we saw the helicopter that Pam Africa described descending over the house, suddenly dropping the bomb. And what astonished us most was not only the bomb and the fire, but that then the fire trucks, for more than an hour, would not turn any water on. It would let the house burn to force everyone out of the house. And then, of course, as they came out, we later learned police attempted to shoot them down as the people came out of the burning house. I'm wondering your reaction to, more than 30 years later, an apology by the Philadelphia City Council, but yet no one has ever been held accountable or was ever indicted for what happened there that day.
Yeah, the apology came from a city councilwoman by the name of Jamie Gauthier, who put that apology in because I asked her to. And I asked her to because, there's still a lot of unresolved issues here with our family and close members of our family, close supporters of our family who are still involved in these unjust situations. People like Mumia Abu-Jamal, and now that we found out that that the Penn and Princeton have the remains of our family, it makes you wonder, what else do they have? What else are they covering up? What else are they lying about? I mean, to have an apology is valuable because that's kind of like an admission, and we're going to use that to flush out more, to prove the more injustices. And and the system is controlled by pressure. John Africa said the system is controlled by pressure, and if you don't keep the pressure on, they'll do whatever they want to do. Then they're not going to return the 1,000 skulls that they have. They're not going to just stop killing people unless they're pressured, and we have to find a way to apply that pressure. So I don't think the apology is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
Mike, this so reminds me of Henrietta Lacks, the African-American woman whose cancer cells are the source of the HeLa cell line, the first immortalized human cell line, one of the most important cell lines in medical research. At the time that she was dying, she never knew they were using her cancer cells. Her family for years did not know this. And now we see that these bones of the children of the MOVE bombing, one child, two children, as you said, you don't know what happened to the remains of the 11 people killed in the MOVE house. Then you also mentioned Mumia Abu-Jamal in prison for life in Pennsylvania. We've just gotten word in the last days that he has survived serious open heart surgery. Do you know about his condition, that he has congestive heart failure, and what are the causes of this?
Yeah, I mean, what's happening with Mumia's health situation is not just because he's 67 years old. Many members of the organization and other people that are victims of the mass incarceral system in Pennsylvania and around the country are they're coming down with all kind of ailments and illnesses because of the treatment and the way the system itself is set up to give them poor medical care and very, very low quality food. So that's just another issue. And that's why it's important to expose these injustices so that we can use this exposure to get the people, arm the people with information so that the people can use the information to pressure the system. We definitely want an investigation. I as a collateral descendant of some of the people in the House May 13th, John Africa was my grand uncle. And, I don't trust the Penn Museum. I don't trust Princeton. I definitely want to say that there's more to come with this. From my point of view, from where I'm standing, I feel that there needs to be done. There needs to be accountability, because the reaction, the people, the Penn's reaction to this is totally unprofessional, making an apology through a statement through someone else, and the whole thing is egregious. People are suffering and have been suffering for over 36 years just because of the bombing.
You're calling for the bones back?
The bones to the children.
We have 5 seconds.
That will be decided by their parents.
All right, we're back. So you just heard it, the clip from Democracy Now!, where they're talking about this matter, talking about the issues that Black people still face here in Babylon, that since 1985, that was over 35 years ago. Since then, they have been using and manipulating the bones of dead Black children. So that goes to show you that Black people are still not free even after death. These deceivers never cease to amaze me with their wickedness. These people that commit such atrocities, kill, maim, torture, shoot at, bomb innocent women and children. These creatures that live among us, they're beyond psychotic, they're beyond disgusting. It's unforgivable for people to have crimes against humanity and not be prosecuted against these institutions. I'm talking about the blood and bones of children are being studied in universities. We appreciate the fact that Democracy Now! Revealed this information, because apparently other news media sources refuse to cover this story. And even if somebody gets sued, there's no amount of money that can solve the amount of pain that we as a nation of people go through. We must wake up and realize that we are truly dealing with deceivers, that we are truly dealing with the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, like the book of Job chapter 9 verse 28 says. This is very sick, very twisted, very disgusting. I'm beyond sick. I'm beyond appalled that they've been hiding this information for over 35 years. And it's just now coming out. It's absolutely monstrous. Someone needs to be held accountable for this. There's no amount of justice that can equal to the pain. There was no mercy, no sort of vindication, no justification for them to do that. They bombed innocent women and children, and after they were dead, they took their bodies and grind off the meat off the bones so they could study their bones, people. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They took the meat off their bones so they could study them in a freaking science lab. Do you understand how wicked that is? Many people that are in their 30s and 40s were teenagers or little children, or not even born when this happened. You understand what I'm saying? This happened in 1985, so that means people that are now in their 30, 36, 37, 38, 40s, 50s that have heard of this story. And it's sad. It's sad because it's sick and disgusting how people treat each other. I pray for love and healing on the people, for all the people affected. I pray for love and healing on them. But those that did this wickedness, those that participate in such wicked atrocities, there is no mercy for them. There will be judgment on the earth by the hand of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Just in the same way that Abel's blood cried out because of the death of Cain, this blood is crying out. Remember, there is no statutes of limitations on murder. And God has a debt that he will pay to the wickedness of this society. For Tulsa, Oklahoma, for Trayvon Martin, for the MOVE situation, and every other innocent person that was killed at the hands of supremacists that think they're supreme, but they're really wicked. There will be vindication. And the Bible says, then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the brightness of his coming. The Most High will deal with this wickedness. The Most High will heal the hurt and pain that people have suffered on this earth. So I share this information not to cause anyone to have any trepidation or fear or anxiety or depression. There will be a day of judgment by God Almighty. And we must prepare to live righteous lives and teach our people to change from their ways and fall into the hands of God. Read the Bible. Pray with your kids. Teach them. Educate them. Let them know about history. This information is important because this information will help us to understand who is for us and who is not for us, who is your friend and who does not have your best interests at heart. It is important to know this information because the truth will set you free. Be free from the works of darkness. Be free from Babylon. Be free from the mentality of this place. And start reading the Bible, studying your scriptures, teaching your family the right path to go. Because at the end of the day, there is a God. And the Bible says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. We have more music for you to listen to. And we hope that you listen to this broadcast with a solemn mind to do good by your family, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and be kind to one another. Shalom.
If I war time, meditate there upon my mind. Hands press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team. Well, if I war, then it is roll deep round 12 noon. Pull up then lock down street. Hit spot, jump out at the 4-door Jeep. And we match black pants and boots, pan feet. Let me reach for the back. Pull out the heat, man, I spray with the weapon and I listen them a teach. In a war time, we no two trace like y'all. We no take tough chat, boot reach boy teeth. I'm a part too cold, man, I no bomb mercy. Cops and marap on the damn concrete. Hey, all I shot that boy, me no skin teeth. If you know some me grim, man, me come here so fi reap blood reach to the regular. Base full of lead, any weapon the siren go come and set the pan repeat. Man, a victory dance, cause the boy them get the feet. Last man standing, so the mission complete. You see, war time, meditate there upon my mind. Hands press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team in a war time. Meditate there upon my mind. Hands press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team.
Real warriors, war for the truth. You know, sister, them a name come to. Only wisdom when them have is just a wisdom too. You forget the W, you just is dumb fool. You just attack, you no make sense. High password, circle remnants. PKs off with the tabernacle war. That means everything getting intense. In a war we a blast off when we start fast. Every dog we a bark off, if it talks off. Load up the ammunition then before he don't talk. Then me pull it in his face and make it fly to him out. From a war we a blast off when we start fast. Every dog we a bark off, if it talks off. Load up the ammunition then before he don't talk. Then me pull it in his face and make it fly to him out.
War time, meditate there upon my mind.
Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team in a war time. For war. Meditate tear up on my mind. Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team.
Say them a gone like the real bad man. Now them not know about the real gunman. Gotta kill man from 19 all long. Warlord me as of him a the dung gun. So that go swing pon the left and pon the right. Eden a drop and a dead like fly. Blood fall like rain from sky. Outside judgment, who won't try? Rapids can't get my blood, nah shed. God head takes said strong faith can't fret. Once curse, no bless, just soldier turn vets. Cast lots, go on bed, he don't pay debt. Yow, the general full of war tactics. Golden sword, them not come plastic. Meditate, Pantera, man, it fantastic. Man flex in a war like gymnastics.
It's a war time, for war. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team in a war time. For war. Meditate tear up on my mind. Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team.
Man ready long time. Pretty war me walk up. Like a block, me circle them up. Every bone in them body, the saints I break up. Like Samson, heap up and eat them pile up. From a war, this a action place. 2S SWAT, while life get waste. Body stand stiff, when marrow misplaced. Man up for the killing, me no have time to waste.
No chasing shot to them face like liquor, like Cersei. Everybody knows me bitter. Same time go eat them food like Snickers. Rather iron, break them to shivers. Energy, me not beg my friend. Food violate them life I go end. They rather iron and not design for them. From a war time, me no bluff, not pretend.
A war time, for war. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team in a war time. For war. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press boot of his shine. Man terrible in a war time. Dream team. The truth, them must forget rebuke emotional. Them too soft like tutti fruit. Real soldiers alone must forget recruit. This the order, them must forget the boot. Elevate and with them on another level. Boss full of traffic stop because them working for the devil. They don't want to keep the order, so me know say them a rebel. But not the whole of them unrighteous vessel. Chat them a chat, they don't want me clap back. Them confident till I my turn to go in. Can this the program and expect me to take that? Everybody get it when they send the attack. Jealous them jealousy inside the trend. Setter them a dirty traitor. Judgment them a get and if you cry. on your belly serpent. Tell it get off, purge them. Watch everything get better with yourself.
Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. Them boy they forget the truth. Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. The one of them a roast fruit. Roast fruit. Them boy they forget the truth.
Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. We now have a Cash App. The link is in the description of the page here on Anchor.fm, also on Spotify. We appreciate you listening in. We do have a few features that we are including now. We are selling a few products such as watches, perfumes, colognes, and other products will be available for our Israelite community as well as the general community of the population. We have a Facebook page. Just type in the Forefront Media and you'll be able to get updates of various shows that we drop when they do drop. Please do share this show if you like the show, and we do hope that you do love this show. And tune in for more episodes once we have them available. Thank you for listening to The Forefront. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel.